Hello, I'm Rebecca the Maths Lady. Welcome to video 5 on this series on teaching number to 9 to 11-year-olds. And this video is all about the history of number systems, different number systems, and there's a particular focus on teaching Roman numerals. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how we teach children about the history of different number systems, and we begin to understand why our decimal number system, our base 10 number system, is so good. I'll give particular attention to teaching Roman numbers, or Roman numerals as they're called in different systems because they're on some curriculums. And I'll talk about teaching different numbers-based systems, which is a great extension activity for this topic. So if you don't need this video, here's a skip link to the next video, which is all about mental addition and subtraction at this level. There are no videos you need to have watched before this one. I would just hope that children have seen base 10 blocks by now and have a little bit of experience of that. So our number system has not always been, as it now is, a base 10 number system with 10 digits, with a column system where a digit in one column is worth 10 times as much as a digit in the previous column. Now, the history of number is a huge subject, and you could go pretty much anywhere with this. But the easiest way to approach it is just to search the internet for some good videos, and I've done that for you and found a couple that are really useful. Remember, if you're going to follow links to these videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel first so you can find it again, because these will take you away from this video and this channel. So the first video I'm going to recommend is called Who Invented the Numbers? And it covers some early number systems. It's certainly not perfect, it misses out the Chinese and the Romans, but it begins to give children a sense of some early number systems and that number systems didn't always look like they do now. And it's very short, so here's a link to that video now if you'd like to explore that one for use. Now, if your curriculum has Roman numerals on it, as the English maths curriculum does and the Indian curriculum does and quite a few others do, you need to spend some time focusing on Roman numerals. And I found a great little video called Roman Numbers for Kids, which made me laugh and I think would make kids laugh, and also does some really useful teaching. It sets out a lot of rules for understanding and reading numbers written with Roman numerals, and towards the end of the video it gets really complicated. So the first 4 minutes are great and the last 3 minutes are a bit overwhelming. So I looked at that and I thought, it's much simpler than this. We need to reduce this to 3 steps to teaching Roman numerals that are much easier to follow. So I've created a note sheet which is free shared in all the usual places, in my Facebook group, Expert Primary Maths Teaching, on TES and TPT, just for free download. You can find links to those sites on the worksheets page of my website, which is authenticmaths.co.uk. So here's the note sheet. 3 steps to understanding Roman numerals. Step 1, there are 7 letters for Roman numerals, and children need to rote learn these letters. Lots of practice, lots of flashcards, they need to know them. I is 1, V is 5, X is 10, L is 50, C is 100, D is 500 and M is 1000. These are just facts and they need to be memorised. Step 2 is to examine and learn about this table here. So we want children to come to understand that as we build up numbers within 10, we repeat the value for 1, just as we repeat the value for 10 when we're building up our tens, and we repeat the value for 100 in building up our hundreds and 1000. We never have more than 3 of a letter in a number, so when we get to 4, we have to use 1 before the 5th, which has its own letter. So in ones that becomes IV, in tens it's XL, and in hundreds it's CD. Then we have our 5th value in each sequence, which has its own letter. Then we add in the extra ones, tens or hundreds, 3 of them. And finally for the 9, we're going 1 before the next value. So 9 is IX, 1 before 10. 90 is XC, 10 before 100, and 900 is CM, 100 before 1000. You need to get children to pay attention to these sequences. It's fine to just introduce them to these letters for numbers and then set them to work on identifying those patterns and describing for themselves what's going on, and then just clarifying that with them and practicing it with them. And then writing numbers is really easy. Just write the value for the thousands, followed by the value for the hundreds, followed by the value for the tens, followed by the value for the ones, and you are done. And of course you can read them in the same way. And then of course children will need regular practice because they will forget those 7 rote-learned letter names. But hopefully those 3 steps, learn the 7 letters, learn how tens are constructed, and then learn to compose numbers by putting together the thousands, hundreds, tens and ones, and read them, make much more sense than the large number of rules in one of those videos. And of course you can consolidate that by reading building dates and dates at the end of films and TV programmes. I sometimes get children filling in a number line with Roman numerals, or from the front of the class you can work with a counting stick and do the same kind of exercise. And one of the things that reveals is that there's no 0 in the Roman system, which is quite interesting. 0 didn't emerge for quite some time after the Romans were around. So what about extension work for this topic? Well, there's 2 ways you can go. You can get children to investigate and research different historical number systems, and that's interesting and valuable work, and you can connect that into your history topics. The other way to go is to look at different base systems. So in our decimal system, our column headings are ones, tens, 100s, 1000, and so on. But it doesn't have to be that way. You could use a base 5 system where the column headings were 1, 5, and we're multiplying by 5 here, so the next column would be 25, and the next column would be 125s, and so on. So if we had a number like 83, we'd say, well, it's got 3 25s in it, so we'd write that 3 25s. They make 75, so that leaves us with 8. So we've got 1 5 and 3 1s. So the number 83 written in base 5 looks like that. Now, base systems used to be widely taught in many schools. When I was a child, I studied base 5 at first school, and I don't think I was even in the top class, and I left first school when I was 9. And it was considered important to teach children different base systems so that they appreciated the base 10 system. And just as we use base 10 apparatus now, we used base 5 apparatus with sticks of 5 and blocks that were 5 by 5 by 5 to teach that. I can't find any of that apparatus now. If you know of any, please post a link to it. But base systems are still really important because base 2, which is called binary, is essential to the computer code. In the base 5 system, we only have 5 digits, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. When you get a 5, you move into the next column, so the 5 and higher digits are never needed. In binary, the column headings are 1, 2, and we're multiplying by 2. So that's 4, 8, 16, and so on. So a number like 23 would become 116. That leaves 7, so there's no 8s, but there is a 4, and there is a 2, and there is a 1. So 23 is 1 add 2 add 4 add 16. Now, binary is particularly important because there are only 2 digits, 1 and 0. And this can be translated in electronics into power on and power off. So when we reduce number to binary code, all sorts of things become possible. So binary is a particularly interesting and important and currently relevant base for children to investigate and come to understand. So hopefully that's given you plenty of ideas for extension work on this topic. Your takeaways from this video: it's great to introduce children to the history of number and give them a sense that number systems haven't always been as they are now, and we're really lucky to have our number system that deals so easily with very large and very small numbers. If Roman numbers or Roman numerals are on your curriculum and you need to teach them, It's a 3-step method that's very powerful. If you just lean into it and explore each part of it carefully with children, they should come to understand Roman numbers. And finally, if you're looking to extend this topic for your children who are flying at everything and need extra work, you can either go back to areas of history of number in more depth, or you can explore different bases of number system, and exploring base 2, which is binary, is particularly relevant and interesting. If you've got any ideas or suggestions for teaching this topic, please do share them in the comments. I love to read your comments. If you have any questions, please post them there. If you think your friends or anyone you know might be interested in this video, please share it. And finally, if you'd like to ask me questions live, come and join me Sundays, 9 AM British time on this channel where I take questions live. That's it for this topic. I hope you'll join me for the next video, which is on addition and subtraction with children aged 9 to 11. Bye for now.